Greetings. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Eternal Perspective. Maybe you can see that in the background there. I think so. I'm here in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're doing okay right now. I've got an inverter in the car that I'm charging the refrigerator with when I get home. I'm going to show you what this looks like out here. Here, let me show you what it's like when I actually exit the car. How about that? But you can hear the wind. We've got Channel 10 News right over there from Columbia, and then the local news station here as well. And then we've got the Eternal Perspective. The view there is the Cherry Grove. Comment down. I wanted to show you is the reality of what the storm. The wind right now is probably about 40 miles an hour, 40 to 50. You could look on the news channel and see what they're telling you. So what I'm going to do is take off to a little different area here. And I wanted to talk about this a little bit. Recently, I posted on my Facebook page the Weather Wars shows a hurricane generating type device, a large orb on a boat, a ship, and it's a mobile platform for Tesla or HAARP technology. There's a firmament up above the Earth, which is a protective covering. We're living in like a terrarium of sorts, and so I wanted to explain a little bit of that. The the water that covers the face of the Earth is demonstrably flat and level when it's undisturbed. I use this type of an example, the cables right there. And then I'll go up above, out the sunroof here, the moon roof, and just drop this on down. The wind is really strong right now, no doubt. And what I wanted to talk about is that yes, the weather is being modified, all of it. There's a conductive material that's being aerosol dispersed within the atmosphere, and one of the things that they can do is electronically activate that. And it's more than that. There's also the effects that it has on the human population as well. There's a lot more respiratory challenges and that with the particulate that they're putting in the air. And it's a big deal. So this isn't going to be a marathon broadcast at all. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up to the other ramp. I actually want to do this for illustrative purposes. So I'm going to go down. This is a pretty steep incline on these parking ramps, on this one in particular. It's interesting. We've got where we live. I was mentioning earlier. I've got an inverter. I'll flip it around and show you. This inverter right here. I have an extension cord that I'll plug in our refrigerator, and so it's nice and quiet, climate controlled. I can get into a little bit of air conditioning. at home, which is nice, because that would be one of the nice things to have, is a little bit of air conditioning. The humidity is up pretty high where we are. We don't have. We're renters, and we didn't buy a generator. And even if we owned, if we had the funds, I would say, yeah, that would be really nice to have a generator. They've got some that operate on natural gas that you can operate for a while, which is pretty nice. I'm gonna just go ahead and show you. Higher is drier and lower is wetter. That was probably about 40 feet up in the air, and I don't know if you can get the well, I can feel I'm dropping down. You can see it. Just elevating or going up to a higher level doesn't necessarily for the immediate, it can be beneficial. We've got the tide coming in right now, and I'm not going to want to be here when that salt water hits the road and may move actual, like debris onto the roadway. There's smaller, lightweight stuff that's out there now. It's not really a big deal. However, if we would have been hit by a truck, or hit that, they're picking up a lot of debris there now too. There's power crews out right now. There's power lines down out here. So this area doesn't have electricity operating much. I fueled up and got ice at the gas station I had been talking about. It's a travel plaza, the Bolanos Travel Plaza. I talked about it in my earlier broadcasts. Frank Bolano is the owner of that and the IGA store here in North Myrtle Beach, and he installed a serious generator, one that can make ice and run the store and take care of the electronic transactions. That's actually a really big part of the transaction. It's just not pumping fuel out of the ground. They've got to have people that can go into a fortified steel reinforced concrete structure like they have to come on in there and make fuel and supplies available for people. So right now, this area here is really interesting. I like the view of it better here on this particular ramp, and when I get out, I think you'll hear the howling of the wind around these cables here. How much of this you're going to be able to hear. I can step out of the breeze a little bit, maybe a little bit. Isn't that nice? Got the lineman there. Got a friend who's a lineman. He got called up a couple weeks ago. He knew there was going to be trouble. Well, at least the company that put him on did. What's kind of interesting right now is I'm in kind of like well, there's a little turbulence here, but I'm kind of out of the wind. Let me show you right here. It's blowing across right here. This little area is like a protected area. I step out and then right back over here. We can see just the effects of the wind moving the water, and eventually the water will probably come up over the road here, I would think. It depends on how much storm surge is piled up. That wind, this is kind of like a microcosm of that. I'm going to see about zooming in a little bit, see if I can focus on that water right there. Just in the parking ramp there. And then I'll pan out into the ocean. It's a pretty angry sea. Definitely something you wouldn't want to be out. I wouldn't want to be out in. Not at all. How about that? So I'm gonna go for another spot right over there. And so I'm somewhat out of the wind there, but further, and it'll hit really hard. We've got the little swimming pool right there. On some of the storms that we've had, they actually have to shovel the sand out of the swimming pool. Yeah, I don't, oh, yeah, a little extra eyebrow action. Kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. This is pretty shallow water, and it's just blowing it on out there. So I'm going to wait until I'm going to do a sound check. I actually am. How much of this you can. Yes, how about that? Kind of nice to be able. 2 years ago when we had Hurricane Matthew roll on in, all I had access to my access was a motorcycle. We had the car still, this one. It's just that Joni and I shared it, and so I couldn't have it a dedicated mobile broadcast studio like I do now. The bird that's on the photo album, I found him he's home in our bathtub right now, and I'm nursing him back to health with a little chia seed, hemp parts, purified water, a little bit of sugar, brown sugar in it, and I showed him on my live broadcast yesterday. I'm not sure if it was the Facebook or YouTube. We've got some really intermittent internet where we are right now, and so look at that. Going to be able, oh, it looks like now my connection is available once again. So in the biblical cosmology, what we have, the firmament that's up above us, exactly how tall it is, I don't know. It's masterfully designed, as with the rest of the world that we live in. It's a created world. A lot of people get upset when they're presented a bunch of commands, do's and don'ts from the Bible. Oh well, I would simply say I'm just so glad to be free, glad to be born again. That's really the big deal for me, and I want for other people to be able to experience that as well. Yeah, it works a lot better to talk about this in here. The waves are really big. The tide's going to be coming in for another 3 hours. This water is most certainly going to cover the road, and I'm not going to want to be here when that happens. It's a car killer. The salt water, if any of it gets sucked into the combustion chamber, it'll just wreck the car. If you're driving through water and the engine shuts off, it is very likely going to pull the water right into the engine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take us for a little bit of a drive right now, and I'll show you a little bit of what this looks like around here. I just wanted to get all buckled in that. What's interesting now, because of the way that the car is labeled up, it gives me somewhat of a little bit more credibility, I think, with the locals as well. You know, it's professionally labeled up. It's an older vehicle, but the idea here is that it's a dedicated vehicle. I'm not a looter rolling around with a YouTube Eternal Perspective car. That's kind of the idea of that. I'm not hiding. What's really nice about the cabling here, just a practical architectural commentary, is it'll stop the cars from going off the edge, and it has a much lower wind resistance. You want that in architecture like this, we want that wind to flow around the building and to flow through the building.